Right, man. Listen, triple OG legend, Jay Prince, thank you for stopping by. We really, really appreciate it. I know you're busy out here, but we absolutely appreciate it. It's my first time meeting you.
Right. It's a privilege and an honor to be here.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. And let's talk about this, the art and science of respect. Now, this is a memoir.
Yes.
What made you decide to do this after all this time?
Well, I wanted the opportunity to share, my wins, my losses in life and everything that went on in between. And, kind of express to the world, I started with nothing and I was able to turn nothing into something. And I think I have a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to share. And this was my opportunity to do that.
You said lots of wins and losses. What would you say is your biggest win?
Well, my biggest win, I wrote about it in the book, was when I transitioned from the streets to corporate America. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if I hadn't made that decision, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
What would you say was your biggest loss?
Well, one of my biggest losses was experience one night I was with a friend. It was a death. You know what I mean? My sister, I wrote about my sister in the book. She got ran over by a train at the age of 12 years old. So those are considered big losses.
Yeah. To me. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised you came out with a memoir because usually we never hear from the OGs, the legends, the ones who have put in a lot of work that have helped celebrate hip hop where it is today, but I'm really happy for this because I do think it's important. I know you got a chapter in here where you talk about East and West.
Yeah.
And I know you briefly had talked about talking to Big before and, telling him like, hey, get out of LA. You're hearing some things out here. Did you have a chance to talk to Pac as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was actually with Pac a week or so before he got killed. He wanted me to go out with him, but my father had just came home from being incarcerated. So I was like, man, I can't make it. I got to get back to Houston. But yeah, Pac and I had a good relationship.
How are you able to have such great relationships with everyone, even if the others aren't necessarily getting along, right? Because how? Because I feel like a lot of times people have been pitted to take sides against each other.
Yeah, I try to always stand in a position of right. You know what I mean? I believe in staying in a neutral position when I don't have a clear understanding of the situation. And I think I'm respected for that. I think I'm respected for a whole lot of things, but definitely where that is concerned, I am.
What made you want to start Rap A Lot Records?
I done that for my brother. My brother was a rapper. His name was Sir Rap A Lot. And of course, I named the company Rap A Lot. But he would rap in my ear all day long, and I'm like, hey, man, let me put you in the studio. Let me start something for you, because I didn't want him to be in the streets. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of dedication. Did you ever want to be a rapper or singer or anything? Did any of that? Did you get the itch for it at all?
Yeah, I used to have a Michael Jackson voice until I turned 13 years old.
Yeah.
So I thought I had pipes, but I never really wanted to rap. But I did have some singing skills.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people credit you, obviously, for so many other great legends in hip hop and Ghetto Boys, and the list goes on and on. What would you say has been your biggest highlight when it comes to working with artists?
I love watching lives get changed. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing to witness someone start with nothing and turn it into something, and watch the families, you know what I mean, their kids, everything, celebrate their victories. I get a high off of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at the culture in general and hip hop, and you look at how albums were selling back in the day versus now, there's so many different platforms, streaming. Is it still the same kind of industry still at the end of the day? If you have great music, people are going to want the product? Or do you feel that the product has changed because of the internet, and it seems like there's such a saturation of just everyone making music nowadays?
Yeah, I think great music gonna always stand on his own and basically the same thing. Now, I definitely, with the internet and social media, the playing fields, have changed. The mechanics, the mechanisms that you use to promote and everything have changed dramatically, whereas back in my day, it took me 6 months to break a record everywhere.
Damn.
They can punch a button and bam. So, that's day and night.
Which era do you like the most? Do you like what's happening now, or do you like it?
I like the best of both worlds. I mean, if I had access at the machines that they have access to right now, I could have done wonders. You know what I mean?
Damn.
I would have made probably 10 times the money. So
no pressure on everybody else right now.
Yeah.
Do you ever look back and be like, damn, we would have ran circles around everybody right now?
When I look back, I'm happy for the youth and what they're doing right now with what they have. You know what I mean? I would like to see a few adjustments made, to not become victims of, these different drugs, these pills and different things like that. But I love the hustle that I see, and the mentality where we laid the foundation of being independent and building your own empire. I think that's stronger than ever.
Why is being independent so important? Me, I'm originally from the Bay, so I get it.
Oh, you're
there's
a
a
Bay
different,
girl.
there's a different, hey, look, I'll sell out my trunk. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
why has that been so important for you?
Well, independence was very and still is important to me because I wanted to leave something for my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. You know what I mean? I wanted to leave a legacy behind. And when you give up all your rights to different things, then that's for somebody else's kids and families. So I wanted mine to be the recipient of that I created.
Do you feel that artists are okay with being independent nowadays? Or I don't feel it as much anymore. I remember coming up and maybe it was a Bay thing, like seeing Mac Dre, 40, or just even the climate I felt in hip hop was, I think, more wanting more ownership. I don't know if I feel that all the way now.
Yeah, it's I think is very strong now. I think it's a conspiracy that has taken place to prevent that from happening the way we done it. You know what I mean? They try to close a lot of the doors that we were able to walk through and build our empires on. So the infrastructure have changed, but the mentality with me, when I speak with the artists, it's there. You know what I mean? They holding on, the best they can.
How does someone get the help or support or the cosign from Jay Prince, right? Because this industry can get cold and lonely. And like you said, there are different traps out here so that they're not owning and they're not in that boss position. I mean, is it as simple as like if someone wanted advice, do they got to find the right loophole? Because, these are young kids who are making life-changing decisions, and, a couple wrong decisions could alter their whole journey.
Right.
So is there something in place for mentorship, or do you want to see more of that? Because I do feel like you've been able to help a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. I definitely would like to see more of that, and that's one of the reasons I'm putting this book out. They can begin with this book. It's a lot of blueprints and methods and wisdom and all types of ingredients that you can use to accomplish a lot of things you want to accomplish in life. You know what I mean? I laid it out in this book. Other than that, I'm from Houston, Texas. So, if they want to come and visit with me or my sons, you know what I mean? I'm very accessible. So, and I love sharing wisdom.
I can totally feel that. And I think that's important. I do think that people should receive it just as much as you're willing to share it. I do think, people need to hear it and respect it. And what would you say is your favorite chapter in your memoir?
Well, one of them is the biggest deal I ever made. And that was the transition of walking away from the streets out of bondage into corporate America. It changed my whole life. You know what I mean? I was able to embrace peace and all the fruits of my labor going down a longevity perspective of life. So.
But did you really have peace? I mean, I feel like people were hating on the success and the greatness. And I feel like there was a lot of maneuvering because those stories are rare. When we see someone actually transition successfully, how did you deal with outside forces trying to hold you back?
Well, I'm a man of faith, and I was grounded and always have been grounded in my faith. So therefore, I don't allow fear and outside forces to really affect me much. Not to the extent where it just throw me off track and I'm going to have some kind of breakdown or want to quit or want to give up. My energy come from up above, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Man, the confidence is there, but I really do believe it's the wisdom and the years of all of this experience. I had read that you, Suge Knight, and I think Irv Gotti tried to do a distribution, I guess, type of deal.
Yeah.
And how first, I want to know why you guys wanted to, because I don't think people understand the importance of distribution.
Right.
And then what happened ultimately?
Well, we had a meeting of the minds to try and lay a foundation where our brothers and sisters could come and enjoy distribution without all of the politics and different things attached to it. And shortly after, thinking that way, and I think some of the guys let people know what we was planning and thinking, all of our companies was hit by the alphabet boys in some form or fact, so we know the end of that story. They tore Murder Inc. down, they hit Suge up, and they came at me with a atomic bomb. And once again, I'm still standing.
How are you not bitter? How are you so composed? Like me, I'd be like, yo, this is a problem. Well, I guess it's been so many years, but initially, did this infuriate you? Or was it like, okay?
Well, this been a long journey, law enforcement. I have a chapter in my book, Me versus the United States of America, and that's a hell of a feeling to see your name versus the United States of America, because that's, can be intimidating if you don't have a God that governs all.
Right.
But, I understood that, and, I almost at some point became immune to the situation because I knew I wasn't doing anything out of line. First of all, I'm not breaking no laws, so I ain't worrying about that. And from there, I believed in putting a spotlight on every move that they made that was corrupt.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't an individual that ran in the corner or tucked my tail when these people attacked me in some form. I put a spotlight on it.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Yeah, not at all.
They still don't like it, but but look at you, and it's fine. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the win is your happiness, peace of mind, and your integrity.
Right.
And how this whole situation was handled. Were there any other situations that you were in that you talk about in the book where you really were worried about your life? Oh
yeah. Me versus the DEA. They put a couple guys on me, DEA agents. One of them had killed 8 people.
Jeez.
Yeah. The other one, Chad Scott, who is presently right now under indictment, 13 counts indictment from stealing drugs, from setting up people, taking money, and, all kinds of corrupt things. These was individuals that, I reported to them over a decade ago. You know what I mean? Because I felt like they was trying to kill me. You know what I mean? Pulling me over in the dark. And first time I ever been stopped by police and asked to stop again.
Wow.
Was instructed to stop somewhere else. So you can imagine, you stop one time, pull over here and stop again. And, basically it was all a setup, DEA agents over at the second stop. I just didn't pull where they asked me to pull. You know what I mean? I pulled across the street. And of course the DPS officer was mad because I didn't follow his instructions. And came over, I told you to fucking pull over.
Jesus.
So at that point I'm like, sir, I didn't want to pull in that dark because I didn't want you to think I was trying to harm you, and I didn't want you to.
Right.
I didn't want to think you was trying to harm me. What's the problem? You swerving. As you know, they love to use that swerving word for probable cause to stop so many brothers. I said, you got the wrong man. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I wasn't swerving. You know what I mean? So at that point, well, how much money you got on you?
No, they didn't.
Yeah. I said, you need to borrow some money or something? Why you asking me about my money? Where your guns? I said, well, my guns are under my seat right here, and my hands are on the steering wheel. What would you like for me to do? At that point, you know, I got out the car, and eventually one of the DEA agents, he came over with the black stuff that football players use.
No.
Yeah. At nighttime, this man had that on. He was in an old school cutlass, and he had an army fatigue uniform on. So in my mind, I'm like,
What?
you know, who is this man talking to? And after the officer spoke with him, I found out that was Chad Scott. That was the agent, Chad Scott. So after all of that, they gave me a warning and let me go. But some of my bullets was missing when I got home. And I'm like, whoa, what is this about? And that's what led to the whole congressional hearing that went on with me in Washington, D.C., because I reached out at that point to Maxine Waters.
Right.
Which she reached out to Janet Reno, and because I was in fear of my life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? These guys sending threats to me, what they gonna do to me. They taking jewelry from my employees. They're doing a lot of corrupt things, and I wanted to document that I was in fear of my life, because at the end of the day, I wasn't gonna just be a target and accept being killed without fighting back. And I didn't want nobody to be upset if I came out on top.
What ultimately made them leave you alone, if they even have?
Well, what ended up happening after I had that meeting in Washington, D.C. and told them about some of the things they was doing, they went into one of the officers' locker or his desk and found a Rap-A-Lot piece. And ultimately, they reprimanded one of the officers and put the other one on a desk job, which led to them shipping them out of Houston. One retired eventually. The other one, Chad Scott, was moved to Louisiana. And that's how they done caught up with him recently to, trying to, where they indicted him. So they now are trying to, follow everything through. Wow. Because this dude is, he's a crooked guy.
Has anyone ever apologized to you?
No, not at all.
Would you want to hear an apology?
I don't know if that would really matter.
Right.
I put the spotlight on this over a decade ago, mainly because I was in fear of my life, and I was going to protect myself.
Absolutely.
And I guess nobody believed me. It had to be 10, 12, 15 years later, and they just caught up with this guy. And now they would like my assistants to help them devour their own.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
When you look at your life now and the successes that you've had, and I mean, that you're alive, you're well, you're healthy, did you expect this for yourself at a young age?
Well, I had high expectations, since the age of like 7 or 8 years old. I was telling my grandmother, my aunties, I'm gonna be rich. So for some reason, I felt strongly about being the one to break the poverty curse where my family was concerned. That was like on me at a young age, and I wanted to be the one, and it just followed all the way through the rest of the years of my life.
For a lot of us, we know you for obviously building the empire, Rap-A-Lot Records, but I didn't know that you actually helped Floyd Mayweather and helped establish his career in the early stages.
Oh yeah.
You've done everything. Have you guys talked, or are you guys just respectful to each other, or how is that? And is he the same person that you remember from back then?
Yeah, I mean, myself and Floyd, we talk all the time, you
Right.
know. he called me. Some of my guys work with him still. So there's a mutual relationship still with us.
That's so crazy. What else did you do that we don't know about? I feel like there's other things that have probably moved because of you. I just had no idea you were in the boxing world like that.
Yeah, no, boxing was always my first love. I got distracted with music. Yeah, I always loved boxing. And I ended up building a recreation center and a boxing gym in my community because I didn't have access to one when I was a kid. And after I built that, that's what like motivated me to, after watching those guys, I'm like, I got to get back in the boxing business.
Who's the greatest of all time, in your opinion, for you?
The greatest of all, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to give him that card. He say he the greatest. I agree with it.
What is it that makes him the greatest, from your perspective, because you are a boxing fan?
Well, his personality, his skills, and what he stood for. You know what I mean? He had a beautiful combination of good ingredients that make him the greatest.
Yeah, integrity, just class and confidence.
Right.
A lot of people now are, I guess for a lot of millennials who aren't as invested in hip hop or the culture, they might not know Jay Prince. They might just be hearing your name now because you've spoke up about the whole Drake and Pusha T situation and how you really ultimately, to me, I feel like you want maturity and you want this to be respectful. That's like the gist of what I understood. But a lot of people don't understand that you have a very close relationship with Drake. You're not an outsider just spewing your opinions on it. What is your relationship with Drake?
Well, Drake is like my son. You know what I mean? And of course, my son, Jazz Prince, discovered Drake. We brought Drake to the United States of America, where all of this got started, and from there, there's a personal relationship, there's a business relationship, and when things get off track where music is concerned, such as this Pusha T diss song, then I felt obligated. You know what I mean? I was asked, and I felt obligated to give my opinion where it was concerned.
Absolutely.
And these are people I know. I know Drake's mother. I know his father. I know 40. And for one to disrespect, them to the magnitude in which Pusha T did, of course, it crossed the line with me. And I had to share that with Drake because, I know he felt the same way, but he was in a retaliating mood.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I was expecting Drake to put out a very harsh diss record because Drake can rap his ass off. So to me, it wasn't a question of can he, right? Because not that I know him personally enough like that, but from his body of work, it's undeniable great music. It's just, that's what it is. So I think for a lot of us who love music, we just wanted to hear the wittiness, the wordplay. But I also understand, sometimes it's not about entertainment.
Exactly.
And that must have been hard for Drake to accept that because, he's competitive.
Yeah, very.
So how were you able to even convince him? This is a winner.
Yeah.
And I guess if there's anyone who could talk to him, it would be you.
Yeah.
But it couldn't be easy for him.
No, it's a mutual respect. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for everybody to have somebody in their camp that can think and that they respect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many of these guys, accept a check and anything goes. You know what I mean? They know the truth. They'll sit and let people, fall off a cliff and won't say nothing because they bought, sold and paid for.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm not one of them. You know what I mean? I have thinking ability and I could see where this was headed. You know what I mean? And I understood where he had to go as well to even respond.
Right.
And then it get deeper than that because, Kanye West, the other side didn't really want it. You know what I mean? Kanye, you know, and I know he wouldn't mind me saying this. He told me he's a family man.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not something that he was advocating to push.
Right.
And I know him from Mike Dean, one of my guys. Yeah, that was one of my guys that's with him. So, you know, I considered the overall picture, and I considered, you know, from the ingredients that I heard was going into that song, we finna tear this man's career down. You know what I mean? Because Drake that witty, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so...
so you actually heard it?
Well, I actually know of the ingredients that was going.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be good for him. You know what I mean? It really wasn't. And I'm glad that he had enough respect to hear me out.
Yeah, that takes a lot, especially for someone who's so competitive. Have you actually had a chance to talk to Pusha about it and resolve? Okay.
No.
Do you have any interest?
I don't have a problem speaking with
anybody.
No brother. You know what I mean? As long as it's a respectful playing field, we can kick it all day. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that. And somewhere down the line, I know we will.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. And because a lot of people don't understand that Drake is not hiding behind you. Yeah. And I think some people took that the wrong way. But it's like, no, we know Drake is a winner. We know he's competitive. So you had to convince him not to put something out. And I'm glad that you are saying this right now.
Right.
Because maybe because I'm a fan of Drake's music, I would never want people misconstrued that he could come back.
Oh, yeah. No. But
like he could fire back. It's fine.
Oh, no doubt about it. In a nutshell, we are about a movement. You know, we can't get caught up in a moment. You know what I mean? That ain't happen. Drake didn't become Drake because he got dumb people around him. You know what I mean? And one have to really understand the science of that. And we got to move on.
Are there any other artists that you really are a fan of right now? That you're just like, I like how they move. I like the product that they're putting out.
Yeah.
Anyone that interests you at all?
I mean, I love Amigos right now.
Yeah, Amigos are,
you know, they making hot songs. I love the YBN movement because, you know, my son Jay is, we partners with Lemire YBN, Almighty Jay, the new cat that we just embraced, and that's the new Rap-A-Lot wave. So I'm loving all of that.
What would you like to see within the music industry as far as power and control and ownership? Ultimately, if you had to put a dream together and what you would like to see happen, what would that look like for you?
Well, I mean, I would like to see my brothers own more content. You know what I mean? Really stand on that. You know what I mean? Stand on that content situation and stand on respect a little more. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to get away from that word respect because I'm watching it diminish by the day. You know what I mean? So I hope that at least put them two together. That would make me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, being that you care about your community and you want to help so many people, the state of our country right now, do you have concerns for it? I feel like it's a pivotal time, but I think this is also great for hip hop because hip hop has always reflected what's happening in the communities and in the streets. Or for you personally, in all the years that you've been doing this and the wisdom, do you have concerns?
Yeah, I always had concerns. You know, sometimes I feel like we're in the last days, and you know, I realize a lot of things gonna take place, whether we want them to or not. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that or not, but all we can do is, you know, navigate in this storm of life as peaceful as possible. That's what I do. You know what I mean? And, you know, take a stand where you have to take a stand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't be scared to stand. Don't be scared to be a man. You know what I mean? A whole man. And if they can get that straight, life would be sweeter.
Oh, wouldn't it be just wonderful? I know you're so busy and you got to run out of here. But did you have a chance to talk to the comedian Roy Woods? Because he was saying the funniest story and how he was so scared of you. First, in his story, did you actually go try to find him after he did the prank call?
You know, maybe I wasn't having a good day that day. But you know, I think they rubbed me wrong some kind of way, and I don't quite remember if I went to try and find him or if I wanted him found.
Yes.
But something happened. I don't think he's making this up.
Have you guys had a chance to talk?
Yeah, we actually did on TRL.
Oh, with Sway.
Yeah.
I love Sway. How was that conversation?
It was funny. Yeah, it was funny.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm a bully. You know what I mean? And that I'm a man you should fear. You know, I don't want to be feared. I'd rather be loved. And most of all, respect me.
Well, I appreciate you coming by. We all respect you. All the stuff that you have given and provided to all of us means so much. And I think it's important that we cherish these stories, the wisdom that you share with us, the art and science of respect. How hands-on were you with this?
Oh, from beginning to end.
And I saw there's some pictures in here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good. I'm really happy that you documented this. It's so important for the legends to leave us with something.
Right.
And we don't do a good job of this, by the way.
Right.
I really don't think we do.
Well, I've done it, and I've done it in my own voice. I have an audio version as well. Yeah.
And I heard there's a documentary that you're putting together about Rap a Lot.
Right.
Yes?
Yeah. The conversation is being had.
The business has to be right.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited for this. And, you know, anytime you're in New York, this is like a second home. And,
Appreciate
you know, I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to go ahead and order it because that's what you do. You support.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So make sure you go and do that right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Privilege and honor to be here.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.